Amen.
Anybody know any good jokes? While we wait?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, okay, we'll do that later. All right, well, we're glad everybody's here. Welcome to the gallery, I guess I should say. And we've got several people on that's away from the here. And but at this point, let's provide an attendance report.
Yeah, so
Emma?
in the room, we have our chair, we have Monica, and we have Doug. And then online, we have Wes Lewis and Dave Barbie. So we have 5, and Lisa Hamilton. So we have 6 members who are here, so we do have a quorum.
Good, all right. And Dave Barbie's on too.
Dave Barbie as well.
Yep, okay, all right. Well, good. Well, at this point, let's move right into the program reports then. I guess at first, we'll start off with the Office of Family Independence, Director of Partnerships and Calibration, Laura. Laura?
Good afternoon. I'm Laura Beggs. I'm here as a representative from the Office of Family Independence, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about our Community Partners Program. Next slide. Thank you. So our Georgia Gateway Community Partners, well, let me just start off by saying that our community partners are organizations throughout the state that have their own clientele base that partner with us so that they can also help them apply for benefits and any kind of public assistance through our Georgia Gateway system. We started the program in about 2018, and since then we've gained 115 trusted partners to help our shared clients gain access to benefits. What they can do is they can help assist with applications, renewals, and document uploads to verify their eligibility. They can also help explain things. Sometimes our client notices are long, lengthy, and so they can help explain and like point to the important parts, and they can reprint the notices if they need to. Sometimes people need notices, and so they do a lot for our customers that we share. Next slide. Here I've ranked our types of community partners. We have hospitals, we have food banks, we have workforce development sites, pretty much anything you can think of, faith-based. So we have a whole lot of different like broad categories of people who, organizations who also want to help our customers. And you can see that the top ranking one is, of course, education, workforce development, community services. Next slide. Well, you can see our locations. We are predominantly urban and suburban. There's a lot of white on the map, which we would love to grow into. So tell your friends that we can certainly use more community partners throughout the state. But our biggest one, obviously, or our most numerous one is in Fulton County, which is also where most need typically is. Next. Okay, so since the first of the year, and this is through August, this is through the end of August, our community partners has helped with over 14,000 new applications and over 4,000 renewals. And that's a reduction in foot traffic to our local offices, which is wonderful. And it's, like I said, it's just so convenient for our clients, our shared clients, because they're already there, at the food bank requesting assistance or at the hospital or wherever they are. And then they can just help them get enrolled with our public assistance programs. Next. Other things about our community partner program is we have monthly meetings, and at these meetings, we have our public assistance subject matter experts attend and share any new updates or clarify any policy. There's always questions, so we have the actual SMEs on the phone to answer their questions directly or provide updates about policy. And also what it does is it allows the community partners to come together and it gives them a sense of community. Like they all know who each other is and can lean on each other for assistance if they have questions.
So, but that would be like Fulton County would have their meeting, and then one of the other counties would have their meeting.
It's
Or
one statewide.
It is one statewide. Okay, good.
It's a great meeting. It gets such good feedback because there's always such great information that's shared.
Right.
And then we usually have a speaker in addition to the updates. So there's each community partner takes a turn sharing, what's going on in their world. And then the notes are shared afterwards. So it's a big deal. It's a good meeting. It's virtual also. Next slide. I think we're almost done, actually. It's a short meeting or a short presentation. So there is some criteria to becoming a community partner. It's all listed up there. They have to meet all the guidelines there. And in addition to that, they have to complete all DFACS training because they are acting as an arm of DFACS. So all the annual training that all the DFACS staff or DHS staff enters into, these guys do it too. So they have, of course, HIPAA training and all the private information. We want to make sure that they're doing the tax code right and all the things that keeps, makes us know that they're on the up and up. Secured storage area. They do site visits to make sure that they do have what they say they have. And so it's just a great program. It helps so many customers statewide that may not be able to, for whatever reasons, get to their local DFACS office for assistance. And I wanted to put the email address at the bottom there. That's for anybody who's interested in becoming a Georgia Gateway partner. They can send an email to that address, and she'll, it's one lady that runs this show, so she'll get back with them and let them know all the things. And we typically onboard 3 to 4 partners a quarter. So.
And how many do you lose?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that we've ever lost any, but I don't know the answer to that question. Yeah.
But if you onboard 3 per month, if you will, all over the different state, right? One up north or one out south or whatever.
Yeah.
And then are these partnerships paid in any way?
No.
Or is it totally volunteer?
Totally voluntary.
Okay.
They enter into this agreement to help their customers. So it just, somebody comes in and needs food assistance at a food bank. They're happy to give them the food assistance, but then they say, hey, would you like to apply for food stamps? Let me help you with that.
Okay.
It's great.
And what is the difference in these community partners and family connections?
I do not know.
Okay.
I am a little unfamiliar with the
Okay.
Family Connections program.
Okay, it's part of,
Yeah.
They do much of the same thing, but I don't think they have volunteers like this. I
Oh.
really like this
Yeah,
idea.
we love this program. We're very pleased with it.
Could Family Connections be one of the partners?
Oh, yeah, probably.
I'm sure if they meet the guidelines.
Family
No, I mean,
connections to become
are
a
they-
community.
Are they one already?
Oh, you know what? They may be.
They got all these different names of
Mhm.
different ones.
We've got a list. That's the other thing I meant to say. We've got an internal list of community partners.
Mhm.
We don't advertise it because a lot of the community partners only want to serve their clients.
Yeah.
They don't want, we don't want, homeless veterans coming into a youth homeless center
Right,
for
yeah.
assistance. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So they don't actually put their name out there. So it could be that we have Family Connections as community partners.
Can you find that out for us?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Sure.
And Emma, that'd be something to follow up on? Okay. All right, super. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, presentation of Child Welfare, Director of Wellbeing and Chaffee Services. Mr. Calhoun, tell me how to say your name.
Darjay.
Don J. Okay,
Yes.
good. That's sort of a cool name.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Again, Donjay Calhoun, Director of Wellbeing and Safety Services for the division. I will be sharing today a high-level overview of some of the services and supports we provide to our transition age youth as they prepare for adulthood. So here in Georgia, we provide a continuum of support designed to prepare our youth for independence. We have two key programs. The first is the Independent Living Program, and that program starts at age 14. It's also known as Chafee or Georgia Rise. And then we have our Extended Foster Care Program, which provides ongoing services and supports to age 21 for eligible youth who opt to stay in foster care. These programs are designed to complement one another, and so we encourage participation in both. Together, they provide both skill building and continued support to ensure young people don't age out of foster care without the appropriate resources and tools they need to support them in adulthood. Next slide. So I'll start off with the Chafee program. The Chafee program is a federal initiative created in 1999. It funds states to help youth in foster care or formerly in foster care make that transition to adulthood. In Georgia, our implementation is called Georgia Rise. And Georgia Rise stands for Georgia Resilient, Youth-Centered, Stable, and Empowered. Next slide. Georgia Rise focuses on building stability for youth through education, healthcare, housing, relationships, and employment support. The goal of the program is empowerment. We want to give our young people the tools that they need to make positive choices as they enter into adulthood. Next slide. Youth between the ages of 14 and 21 may qualify for Georgia Rise if they have spent at least 6 months in foster care after their 14th birthday and before age 18. Eligibility also requires citizenship or a qualified immigration status. Georgia Rise is a state office unit that's comprised of regionally assigned independent living specialists, and we refer to them as our ILS staff, and they work with our case managers. They also help assess eligibility, coordinate transition planning, connect youth to resources, and advocate on their behalf. Our ILS team are very vital in supporting youth on their journey toward independence. Next slide. Extended foster care allows young people ages 18 to 21 to voluntarily remain connected to DFACS and continue receiving support. They must sign a voluntary placement agreement within 5 days of their 18th birthday or their request to return to extended foster care if they previously opted out. Also, there must be engagement with the juvenile courts, including the submission of a court report with a written transitional living plan. Youth may qualify if they are finishing high school, enrolled in college or vocational training, working, or engaged in employment preparation programs. It's also important to note that youth who leave at 18 may return up until age 20 if they need support again. This flexibility helps stabilize young people as they take their first steps to independence.
Do they go back and live with the original foster parents? Or are they now just on their own?
You're saying if they return to?
If they're wanting support from the state
Mm-hmm.
that they have been getting, do they go back and live under the roof of the previous foster parents?
There's an option, so that can happen. More than likely though, if they are in extended foster care, we are hopefully having them enroll in a transitional living program or an independent living placement program.
That's not part of the foster.
It's not a foster home.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do
it's a
they still
program.
have group homes? I mean, are there still group homes that are options?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that would be for this program, because independent living would be in like an apartment or something. I
Right,
assume. Yeah.
right. So next, I'll talk a little bit about transition. from foster care from this population. Transition planning begins at least 90 days before youth exits care. These meetings focus on housing, education, finances, employment, healthcare, and obtaining essential documents. This is a very individualized process. No two set of circumstances are the same. And with that, no two transition plans should be the same.
And who helps them with the transition plan? Is it one of the caseworkers or is it?
Right, it's the caseworker, as well as the independent living specialist and supporting adults. So it could be a foster parent,
Okay.
it could be anyone who the child feels could add value to the conversation.
Okay.
And as I just mentioned, the process is youth-centered. They set their own goals,
Page 19.
supported by their caseworker, the ILS, and caring adults. Case managers and ILSs follow up to ensure that the plans are carried through. Next slide, which is the last slide. It's my contact information. In summary though, DFACS, we provide a range of services and supports for you from their teenage years through early adulthood. Our focus is helping youth achieve stability, independence, and success. Do I have any questions
How large is the department?
in terms of staff?
Mhm.
We have regionally assigned independent living specialists, so that's 14. And we have 3, 4, about 20,
Total?
yes.
Okay.
Does independent living stop at age 21 as well, or is that extended even further?
Yes, it stops at 20.
21. So 21, you're
Young.
graduated. I mean, you're out of state care at that point.
Yeah. But you're still eligible for resources. So there
Okay.
are some things that we still cover, we can still pay for and provide support, but technically you're not in our custody any longer.
Like what? What kind of support would there be?
Transitional housing support, so emergency food assistance, emergency housing assistance.
Almost like going to become a normal citizen, all the services that are available to them, these guys or gals would have the same. But is there additional support?
Yeah, so this is strictly through Chafee.
Right.
So, yeah, we have a plethora. We have educational supports as well. We pay for, there's the education and training voucher program, which is a stipend that we provide to young people if they are interested in going to higher education or a vocational program. Then you have Chafee Medicaid, which is good up to 26. So there are a plethora of services that are still available to this population. And they still have the opportunity to reach out to us if, as they're navigating life, we can't offer case management services to them, but we can definitely support them.
Somebody they can call for resources if they, or questions if they don't know how to handle something.
Yes.
That's good. All right. Well, thank you.
I know I was not an adult at 21. I was certainly not ready for the real world on my own.
It worked out for you though, I guess. Yeah. You didn't. All right, so thank you. Want to hear from Mary Lee Boatwright on the Division of Aging Services. There you go.
Good afternoon, Chair Smith and members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to be before you again. And today I'm actually going to be sharing about a collaboration partnership with the University of North Georgia, who we contracted with to do a study on our respite and caregiver services. So I can go to the next slide. Just as a reminder, our vision fits nicely into the DHS mission and vision As you know, we are focused on home and community-based services to allow people to live long, live safe, and live well in the community of their choice. Next slide, please. So before I get started on the respite study, I did want to share with you all that Georgia hosted the Southeastern Association of Area Agencies on Aging just last month in Savannah. And it was a wonderful conference. Georgia really shined. We had, as you can see here, a welcome video from Governor Kemp. I was able to give opening remarks, and there in that middle photo on the right is our 12 Area Agency on Aging directors from across the state who basically planned and hosted this entire event. Georgia gets to be the host once every 9 years because there are 9 states in the Southeastern Conference. So, and we're actually the only region. The others have associations like we do, but we're the only region that actually hosts a conference. And this was, I believe, the 20th year. So it was a really great event. Okay. So on the next slide, I already mentioned that we partnered with the University of North Georgia. We basically asked them to look at our respite services landscape. We were given some funds for respite services a few years ago from the legislature, and they wanted to know whether or not, what was the impact of those services, as well as whether or not disease-specific respite services were necessary, like dementia-specific respite services. So that was why we partnered with them. And I think it's always great when we can partner with a state academic institution, right? Because that gives us access to more innovative data analysis tools, rigorous research methodologies, and of course, just getting their independent, unbiased evaluations and recommendations is always helpful to our division, because we're always so busy with the daily grind, right? That it's not as easy to spend time on those things. So we have not received the full results. That's due to us in December. So I want to give you, I'm kind of giving you a teaser, hoping that I can come back to the board to give you the full report when it comes out. We anticipate the white paper in December. But we've already done some preliminary findings. They've shared some preliminary findings with us, which I'm going to talk about today. And we've also presented some of those findings at 2 conferences. But we look forward to applying this research to inform, our program design and implementation, as well as continuous quality improvement of caregiver services. And I know in our aging committee, we've talked about this, but caregiver services is a really important part to home and community-based services, because for somebody to stay in their home and stay out of an institution, they need a caregiver. Even if it's an informal caregiver that doesn't live with them in the home, they need some sort of support. So anything that we can do to support caregivers is really helpful to that end goal of keeping somebody at home as long as possible. The Older Americans Act has Title III funds, which are caregiver services funds. It's one of the smallest slices of the pie when you look at Older Americans Act funds. So we don't get as much federal support on these programs, and we have some state funds. Over the years, we've received home and community-based services that can be used towards caregiver services, as well as respite dollars, as I mentioned. So we have some great support from the legislature on these, but we also are wanting to, in our next state plan on aging that we have to develop over the next couple of years, we do want to make caregiving a focus. Next slide, please. So I do want to share and give a thank you to the University of North Georgia team. It was their director of their Institute for Healthy Aging who led this project, Dr. Pamela Elfenbein. And then you see here, they had a data analyst, member of their policy and economics team. They also had a GIS mapping person from their staff, which was really interesting and is going to provide us with a lot of great heat maps.
which I think are really helpful because our AAAs can actually look at their own specific region and get glean information from on their specific region for their programs. And then we had 2 graduate assistants, Will and Ashley, on the project. So if you'll go to the next slide, we provided UNG with a data set that went from state fiscal year 2017 to 2024. And it included the person served, the services provided, and the cost of services. Again, just in our caregiver services programs. Respite services for caregivers include things like in-home respite, personal care services, adult day services, case management, care consultations, assistive technology, home modification, and more. So there's a wide range of things that we can pay for with those caregiver services dollars. So I do want to share that we learned a lot from this process, because when you're having to share data, of course, we went through the data sharing agreement. We had to keep the data HIPAA compliant, of course. And we provided them with approximately 22,000 records. But for research analysis purposes, they were only able to utilize 23% of the data provided, which ended up at about 5,295 records. So
Why were they not able to use the?
because they needed a certain, you'll know this, probably can explain this better than me, right? As a university professor, but they needed clean data in certain data points on every record. And
Okay.
if you're missing one,
Then that gets.
or if it throws it off, you can't include it, right? Because it's not accurate.
Right.
And so it really has put me and my leadership team on a quest for quality data, we're calling it. So we've implemented some trainings around this. We have a lot of hands in our data because we're one of the few agencies where our AAAs are contracting out with community providers who are entering data into our data system. And so we need to make sure that we're having ongoing trainings around that. It also alerted us to the fact that we need some triggers in our database system to say, oh, this number, for example, a birth date that was 2023, you're not going to have a caregiver who's 2 years old, right?
Right.
So the system should say, this has to be incorrect, right? So adding some triggers like that.
Good.
So overall, the university keeps saying, comparative, we've done other studies and people do lose data like this. We were still able to do a good analysis. But for me, I was like, we've got to do better here. So,
Good.
and we're also working with our Office of Information Technology now on some data scrubbing things that we can do. So it really opened up a can of worms, but it's been
It was good
good
work.
quality improvement for us.
Good work.
Yes, exactly. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see just a few of the heat maps that UNG did for us. This is actually from state data. It's not from our database. But I wanted to show you that we did have to do 3-digit zip code because of those federal HIPAA requirements when we're looking and sharing data out. But the team member, like I said, that does the GIS mapping, used data from the Department of Public Health as well as the census to overlap with some of our data. So these 2 maps are showing the over 60 population. So how you'll see that the map on the left, the number is actually the population of 60 and over in those regions. And as the color gets darker, that means there are more over 60 total in those areas. So you see pretty typical, you'd expect the coastal area there, and then in the northwest corner, right, higher numbers because higher population. But what you see on the right side is actually showing you the percentage of 60 and over to that total population in that 3-digit zip code.
So why is 305, what cities would those be?
Gainesville,
I don't have
probably.
the top right, like the
Why
right
is it,
mountain.
why are all the old folks up there?
Yeah.
How do you think? The retirement to the mountains maybe? But it also can just indicate that those counties, those areas are aging quicker, right? So the total overall population
Yep.
is aging quicker.
Yeah.
And so there's implications there, right? For us, for workforce, labor, and healthcare, for example. And those impact how we might be considering, you know, our programs and our investments in the future. So it's really important for
Interesting.
us.
It's interesting that same area, only, you know, from an income standpoint. No, limit, 3
This
digits.
is just age. The digits is the zip code, 3-digit zip
Oh,
code.
okay, all right. Never mind.
But that is just an example of some of the heat maps, and they did many, and they've been really informative, and we can't wait to see
That's
kind
fun.
of their analysis of it.
That's good stuff.
So on the next slide, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the 2 assessment scores that they looked at for the database and the clients that they looked at. So we have 2 critical data points that we provided. One is called the DON-R score, which stands for a Determination of Need Revised. It's what we call our level 1 assessment. And it's the way that we really prioritize the level of need for our clients. And the DON-R is used not just for caregivers and care receivers, but also for our other programs. But a DON-R score actually is used also to evaluate whether somebody is qualifying for a nursing home level of care.
Mhm.
So in Georgia, you need a DON-R impairment score of 15 plus 1 unmet need to be eligible for a nursing home level of care. And that'll be important in just a minute when I show you some other data. But what the DON-R score does is it measures an individual's ability to complete necessary tasks, ones that you and I probably take for granted, but that are necessary to live independently, like grooming, dressing, bathing,
Mhm.
toileting, those types of things. And we're going to talk more about those on the next slide. But the other, so that was the one scoring for each care receiver that they looked at. And then for the caregiver, it's really great that about almost 10 years ago, somebody on the DAS team actually implemented a caregiver assessment that measures the burden, the perception of burden of a caregiver. So we use something called the Bacchus Caregiver Outcome Scale. It's basically designed to measure life changes in family caregivers of a person with chronic illness. It was originally developed for people who were caregiving for somebody who'd had a stroke, but then they went back and expanded it to be for any type of condition that somebody would be providing care for. And we've been using it, like I said, since 2016, and we now make this as a requirement. So if they're going to be spending caregiver dollars, they must do a caregiver assessment. And we do that at a minimum annually, but if there's a change in condition, we will do it every 6 months. And so that really allows us to show the impact of our services, because this isn't a way to compare one caregiver to another, because this is really a caregiver's perception of themselves and their experience as a caregiver. But the score is able to show us if we are reducing their burden with our services. So if in a year they feel like, oh, I don't feel as burdened as a caregiver, I don't feel as stressed out, it's showing that the services we're providing are helpful, right? So those are the 2, wanted to make sure you were familiar with those 2 assessment scores. So when we go to the next slide, you'll see again some of the preliminary results that I think are really fascinating, because I've been in the aging space for a long time, and we've talked about how home and community-based services delay institutionalization, and that saves the state money. But this data actually shows, without a doubt, not only are we're caring for people who could go in a nursing home, but you'll see here, I want to clarify on here, ADL is activities of daily living, which I just spoke about, bathing, dressing, toileting. And then instrumental activities of daily living, or IADLs, which the DONR also scores, are things like cooking, cleaning, shopping, those other ancillary things that you still have to do if you're going to live independently, right? And then a dyad is a pair of individuals. So in this case, it's the care receiver and the caregiver. So when you look at this chart, the percentages along the x-axis represent how the population's ADL and IADL scores are distributed. So only 10% of participants scored the minimum score to be admitted into long-term care. In fact, 90% scored above the minimum score, and you'll see that over half are well above that minimum score to a pretty high level of impairment. So this data shows that the caregivers that we serve are taking care of people who are significantly impaired and well over the threshold for being eligible for nursing home level of care, which supports our data showing the delay in nursing home level of care and costs of that level of care. So our caregivers are really taking care of people with a high acuity, right? That could easily the next day go into a nursing home based on this scoring.
This might be a question for later, but what percentage of the nursing homes out there are Medicare?
So, well, Medicare doesn't pay for nursing home care. Medicaid pays for nursing home care. And because I am the expert in home and community-based services, I don't know that off the top of my head, but the Department of Community Health, who manages our long-term care facilities, we could get that from them and provide that to you.
Yeah, I mean, that might be one of the underlying factors in that, because obviously if people can't afford it and there's less and less nursing homes that will take Medicaid, then they might be wanting to go in, but they just can't figure out how to.
Well, and when you brought up the Medicaid, Medicare, and having been in this space so long, I do know that a number of nursing homes converted some percentage of their beds to what they call rehab beds. So that's the rehabilitation. Now, Medicare pays for rehabilitation. It's a higher rate, obviously, than the long-term rate. So I don't know the stats, but I know that there's been facilities who have converted those beds. And this becomes concerning. You'll see in another slide where I show you that the acuity in the rural areas is even higher. And that probably contributes a little bit to the fact that there's not as many long-term care facilities available in those areas.
Okay.
So good question. So another, just again, these are preliminary findings, so we can't wait to see their recommendations. But I found this finding really helpful in terms of how we frame our programs and our expectations of our area agencies on aging when it comes to caregiver services. So as I mentioned, the BACA score shows us whether or not somebody's perception of burden is going down, right? So the results showed that when a voucher was used for respite services, and rather than just traditional respite services, that the burden score went further down. And what that says to me is that when a caregiver is able to choose the provider of the respite, what type of respite, that they have more control over what the respite is, then their perceived burden goes down. So right now, we only have 4 AAAs who do respite voucher programs. So the first thing I had in mind is, well, we should try to expand that, right? If the actual impact of voucher respite services is greater than our traditional respite services, then we should try to expand it to all 12 AAAs. So this is the kind of analysis and data that we're really looking forward to receiving, and that will, I think, help us shape, again, our next state plan on aging and how we will strengthen our caregiver services. So on the next slide, you'll see another one of these heat maps that I thought was very telling. This is again, the ADL and IADL impairment score, but in the form of a heat map. So if you recall, I showed you the population concentration across the state in heat maps that indicated that higher levels of 60+ Georgians were in the north. However, in this map, you see the opposite, right? That on the southern end of the state is where the folks with what we call the higher DON-R scores, so they have a higher acuity, that's where they're living. So this can pose challenges again on healthcare workforce, funding in the rural areas, but it also provides us an opportunity to address these differences in those rural areas. So again, really excited about the data that's coming out of this study. So I'm going to wrap up with one. Dr. Elfenbein and I actually presented at the National Conference of Home and Community-Based Services in August. And the big topic at HCBS this year, that's what the conference was called, was return on investment for home and community-based services and ROI. So she created this one-pager based again on our preliminary results that show in Georgia, the respite care services provided, for every dollar that we spend, the state saves $1.41 on respite services. Overall, every dollar that we spend on respite services. So that to me is a huge return on investment. It shows here the extra days that we keep somebody in the community. And when you say we've kept them in the community 13,000 plus days extra, that equates to almost $4 million to what would have been long-term care cost. So this is exciting. And again, I can't wait to share with you the full white paper when it comes out. On the next slide, I've listed here the places that we've already presented some preliminary results. And the final report will actually be presented, we hope, at the American Society on Aging conference that's being held in Atlanta in March, as well as the Georgia Gerontology Society conference in 2026 in July. And we also hope to present it to the legislature at the beginning of the session if the opportunity arises, or to some of the study committees that have looked at respite and family caregiver services. So.
Wonderful. Any questions?
I just would like to say to you all, I attended the Gerontology Society, which was combined with the aging co-age. It was at Chateau Elan, and it was very valuable information, wonderful networking, and I would like to make sure y'all attend next year, it will be at Lanier Islands in July. So y'all think about that, put it on your calendar. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Monica.
and she played a big
Of
part.
course she does.
She
Yeah,
was,
yeah, she's
yeah.
great.
Thank you.
And Emma, I'd written down all of these different conferences. We seem to find out about them after the fact. Now, you're aggressive and you got involved.
She's making you a calendar because we already had to submit.
And
You're
you're back in
getting
your
it.
folder, you'll notice
Yes.
a calendar of events.
we have a
Oh,
calendar.
she's already done it.
we
It's in
have
your
these
Wow, that was
days.
fast.
I know. But that one was longer.
This is the rest of the year. So
Right,
it's
yeah.
the
Rest
No,
of
but
the
I'm
year.
talking about for all of 20, all
We
of
are
26.
currently working on that.
Wonderful.
Very good. And I'd like to ask you, having attended 2 White House conferences on aging in the past, we had them every 10 years, and that seems to have dwindled. Is there any chance that maybe Georgia could lead in making sure we have because they come from all over the states and share these practices and things like this study? I mean, that would be good to share nationwide. Is there any chance we may have another one?
I would suspect so.
Okay.
I would suspect so, and it's so cool that you got to participate in that. That's
Oh,
exciting.
yeah. It's held in Washington, D.C. near.
Yeah, the current acting secretary of ACL's department is Mary Lazare, and she has she's doing a lot of great advocacy for our programs, and I wouldn't be surprised if she's already trying to ensure that's happening, but I can ask around and see.
Okay.
I do not know that if, I know there's not one scheduled right now, but.
Yeah, I knew there was not, and I wondered.
That's good. That's good thought.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody on the line got any questions?
Not right now.
Wes, are you there? I guess not. Okay. All right. Never mind.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. All right. Now we got a presentation on Division of Child Support Services from Ronnie Miller and Kristen Benson, I think. And Krista is the Georgia Employer Hub Supervisor, and Ronnie. So we look forward to hearing from y'all. I'll just get all my stuff right away.
Before they get started, I'm Sarah Hurst, Assistant Deputy Commissioner with Child Support
Sure.
Services. I just wanted to give a brief introduction to the two of them. So Ronnie currently serves as a Region 3 manager. He was just recently promoted to that role. But prior to that, for the last 6 years, he served as the manager of the Georgia Employer Hub. And then Krista has been with the Hub almost since the days the door opened there. She started in 2018 and then she became a supervisor in 2019. So both of them have a lot of expertise in this area. They provide a tremendous amount of support as well as their team to both our local offices and the employer community. So I just wanted to give y'all a brief
Thank
introduction.
you. Thank you. Glad y'all are here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Okay, so I will give you an overview of the Georgia Employer Hub. The Georgia Employer Hub is a resource for Georgia employers regarding child support service, support issues, and needs. The Hub streamlines income withholding orders and automates income withholding orders for employers. We have customer service agents dedicated to the employers, which we will discuss in more detail later. Furthermore, we process incoming and returned mail. So let's take a look at our history. The Georgia Employer Hub opened in January 2018, supporting 11 of our offices. By July 2018, we were supporting all 55 offices. The following year, we created an audit team specifically for the Georgia Employer Hub team. Let's take a look at our office goals. Our goals are to support the presidential priorities, which are outlined in the graph here. By assisting with increasing collection, we can strengthen families for a stronger Georgia. We can accomplish this by building stronger relationships with employers and small businesses. Next, we'll take a look and discuss our Georgia Employer Hub stats. We continue to meet our office goals with the support of our dedicated staff. With the help of our staff, we were able to review over 200,000 income withholding orders during fiscal year 2024. We were also able to send over 260,000 outgoing pieces of mail. We also were able to speak with over 20,000 employers through outbound calls to verify their contact information and assist with questions regarding the income withholding order process. Next, we will discuss the income withholding order electronic process. The electronic income withholding order process is an efficient and cost-effective way to electronically exchange income withholding orders information between state child support agencies and employers. In November 2015, the Office of Child Support Services began offering EIWO as an option for employers, eliminating the need to mail paper income withholding orders to employers. The electronic income withholding order process offered by the Office of Child Support Services is a cost-effective and efficient way for employers to process child support income withholding orders. There is no cost to employers to use any of the 3 EIWO processes offered. Next, we'll take a look at a few advantages of the EIWO process. This slide shows you the advantages of the EIWO process, but I'll give you a little bit more on how the Georgia employer aims to increase employer participation utilizing the electronic income withholding order.
We're able to do this by utilizing the interactive voice response system through automated recording, using a closing script, which educates employers on the EIWO process on all incoming calls. Outgoing emails from Enterprise Notice Generation System, which we will give you more information on a little later, sends an auto reply response to emails, providing employers awareness of the electronic income withholding order process and a direct link for employers to access the federal portal to gain further insight into the EIWO process and also registration. Let's take a look at the next slide. On this slide, it shows the source of collections for fiscal year 2025 from October to August. Approximately 60% of collections come from wage withholding. Increasing the amount of child support collected through employers help reduce overall state costs. Shifting more collections to employers means a more efficient, cost-effective, and streamlined child support program. At this time, I will turn it over to our region manager, Ronnie Miller.
Excuse me. Thank you, Krista. So we'll take a look at the active EIWO employers as well as the wage withholding chart. So the Division of Child Support Services has a strategic goal to increase the numbers of employers participating in the electronic income withholding order process. And they want to increase that from 8,252 to 10,292 by June 30th, 2026. As of August 31st of this year, as reflected in the slide here, you can see there were 9,708 employers enrolled in the EIWO process. The slide on the right shows the wage withholdings from the beginning of federal fiscal year 22 to the end of August 2025. And as you can see, there is over 400 million. So now we'll look at the G-Hub teams. We have 4 teams in the hub. We have the outreach team, the mail team, the federal income withholding team, which is our FIW team, and the performance auditing team. So the first team we'll take a look at is the outreach team. So as you all know, the Division of Child Support Services has outreach teams, which are fatherhood and PAC. However, the G-Hub has its own employee outreach team. This team is dedicated to take calls from the employers every day. And the benefits of having this team is it provides employers with direct contacts to CSS, and improves communication with employers, and we assist employers with questions or concerns related to income withholding, right? And provides us an opportunity to educate employers on the IWO and EIWO processes. The G-Hub outreach team aims to increase the employee participation in EIWO by utilizing the interactive voice response system, as Krista just mentioned, as well as the agents have a closing script that they read on every call to educate employers about this process. This team also benefits the local office in efforts to reach the strategic goals and collections of current and past due support by educating the employer on the income withholding orders. Now let's take a look at the mail team. The G-Hub mail team oversees the processing and distribution of all IWOs and employee-related documentation for the local offices. Historically, the postage cost fluctuated due to the weight-based pricing for priority mail. However, in April 2024, we implemented a strategic shift to flat rate priority mail, which standardized our postage expenses. This operational improvement resulted in an estimated annual cost savings of over $3,000, which reflects our ongoing commitment to efficiency and fiscal responsibility. In federal fiscal year 2024, as you can see on the slide here, over 260,000 pieces of outgoing mail was produced by the Georgia Employer Hub. And this increased our employers participating in the EIWO process. Now we'll look at the FIW team. This team sends IWOs for all offices statewide. The cases are screened through STARS, and the IWOs are sent through enterprise notice generation system. And this expedites that process. These FIWs can be mailed, faxed, or coded to be mailed via the system. This system assists us with meeting the federal guideline of sending IWOs within the 48-hour time frame. And this team also assists with decreasing the number of employers participating in the EIWO process. Now let's take a look at the performance auditing team, also known as the reporting team. This team focuses on resolving child support cases that are 60 days past due after an IWO was sent, and pending cases that require additional research or information. By reviewing and correcting these cases, we ensure accurate processing and timely support for Georgia families. The performance auditing team also track cases using an Excel spreadsheet and verify key details such as employee information and stars. Another key focus is a report where we identify discrepancies and update employer contact details. For example, emails, faxes, etc., in our stars repository. This improves our data integrity, reduces return mail, and minimizes the need for repeated outreach, leading to more efficient operations and cost savings. So now I want to take a look at two conferences we had the pleasure of attending this year. The first one was in August, DHS and DCSS leadership, we made a strong showing as the host state for the 2025 National Child Support Enforcement Association Leadership Symposium, which was held here in Atlanta. Several DCSS employees participated as workshop presenters, plenary speakers, volunteers, and attendees. The conference gathered child support professionals from across the country, giving DCSS leadership and staff a platform to highlight our expertise, our best practices, and to demonstrate our commitment to child support on a national level. DCSS was asked to participate in a pilot session called the Innovation Showcase at this symposium. This showcase allowed innovative projects or allowed states to create a poster for the innovative projects they've launched. And for DCSS, we presented on the Georgia Employer Hub. So Krista and I highlighted the work of the G Hub, and we also fielded questions from other states. We had a 40-minute allotted time slot to do this. So it was wonderful conversing with other states. We received a lot of wonderful, interesting questions, and we also learned about their process surrounding IWOs as well. The second conference was held in Amelia Island, Florida, and this was in August, and we joined other state child support programs at the Federal Office of Child Support Services and partners from the employer community. It was at the 2025 National Council of Child Support Directors Employer Symposium. This symposium offered the opportunity for employers and child support professionals to discuss barriers, different challenges, and best practices related to the important partnership between employers and child support programs. Some of the key topics we discussed in that program were lump sum reporting, and with income withholding, independent contractor reporting, the income withholding order process, and new hire reporting. We left with several key takeaways and action items that we're following up on to continue improving our processes. So thank you so much for your attention. We will now ask if you all have any questions.
You're using a lot of AI in this.
No, not AI. We actually have our ENGS is an enterprise notice generation system. Actually was created in-house by our OIT department. So it was created for us, and it's extremely efficient with streamlining the IWOs and giving them out in an efficient manner.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Emma, and that's another one that where we can know in advance. All right, so do we need a break or do y'all keep going? Okay. All right, so I will call the order to order. It's at 2:00, the meeting of the Department of Human Services. And I guess the first issue is to approve the minutes from July 9th. They've been distributed to you. Are there any corrections? Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second, okay. All right, second, and then it's moved and properly seconded that the Board of Human Services minutes for the July 9th meeting be approved. Any discussion? All right, then we'll vote on it. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. All right, approved. Now, the September 4th meeting minutes have been distributed to you. Are there any corrections? And is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion. All right, and do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Barbie. Yeah, glad you're there, buddy. All right, second. All right, and it is moved and properly seconded that the Board of Human Services minutes for the September 4th meeting be approved. Is there any discussion? All right, there's based on no discussion, we'll now take the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, all those opposed? The motion carries. So, committee updates, anything on Council on Aging? All right, anything on the? No. Okay, all right. Then, any new business that we've got? Okay. All right, so I guess we need to move on into just a reminder of the next meeting will be in January 7th. Can you believe this year's gone already? It's gone fast, hasn't it? So without anybody got anything else they want to chat about? All right, so I would motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Yeah, so y'all did that one quick.